Never publicly taunt Dark Souls because it will come at you fast and make you regret ever calling it a little easy. Welcome back, Classic Crew, to a Dark Souls journal where I journey through Dark Souls 3 and try to kill all 19 bosses in Dark Souls 3 because I made a silly little pledge last time and decided this game was manageable and comfortable. And so, hey, I've killed 2 bosses already, or maybe it was 4. What's killing another 19, whatever the rest 15 is? And so the game has upped its difficulty. But so if you're into that sort of stuff, anyways, I'm going on tangents here. Be sure to subscribe, follow along. Every week I jot down my thoughts on the last stream as I go through the Dark Souls 3 experience. And now I'm 2 streams further in from the last journal, and I've killed a few more bosses, 3 or 4, and the game decided to get a heck of a lot more difficult. So I've journeyed my way towards the chapel area, which, by the way, I just have to say so far, including everything I've gone through, the aesthetic of this game continues to be fantastic, beautiful. And even though it is dark and apocalyptic, there's still like enough light and you can actually admire all of the environmental art design that was done. And so to this day, I still say I'm probably now, 16 hours into Dark Souls 3, and the aesthetics is so much better than Dark Souls 1. I just love the Dark Souls 3 look, even though one of my complaints was Dark Souls 1 was depressing, and I'm still trotting through a bunch of undead trying to kill me in this world that is pretty much ending. It just feels more manageable in Dark Souls 3. It feels less dark. So maybe if you like dark, depressing things, you might like Dark Souls 1 more than 3. So anyways, the chapel where I really started struggling are the mobs. Oh man, there's like just parts where it was really hard to progress. I would get ganked by mobs, and then I'd get 2-3 runbacks to finally kill it, just to get ganked by another mob, and then 2-3 runbacks. And this is from a part where you get a chapel, and then you go run through a graveyard, and you go to rooftops. And the pacing here really just came to a script, it just really slowed down. Before, the game was dropping bonfires pretty often, and the mobs were manageable. And even after actually this segment of the rooftop, I think it's just called the chapel rooftops, the frequency of bonfires started coming back a lot more frequent, and I haven't had as much trouble with mobs as I am in this section. So I think this is one section where they could have smoothened off the difficulty curve just a little bit, because it took me like an hour or 2 just to get through these mobs where it's like, oh, you get ganked this way, okay, learn how to fight this. Oh man, I get ganked again. It's like several ganks, one gank after another, so many ganks. While I was being ganked, I kept going back to the hub to do stuff or check up on stuff. And at one point I came across this pilgrim that I remember talking to on a bridge, and he disappeared, or she disappeared, I don't know what it is. And it showed up in the hub, and I learned that this thing just gives you free levels. Like what? Dark Souls, you're really starting to ease up on your difficulty here. So after doing a bunch of stuff for it, as in coming back to it every so often, I think I ended up getting 5 free levels just for talking to it, and then it died. My buddy, who was actually helping me, I've not seen anyone actually help you in this game that is an NPC, other than the ones you summon, but this one was actively helping you in a way that it's going to continue for the rest of the game, and then it dies. I think it died of old age or something. It's not even a depressing death. It's just it has served its purpose and it has died. I will miss the pilgrim, which I don't remember the name. So anyways, after I made it through the rooftops, I finally opened these big doors. Can I just say, opening big doors is super satisfying. And cautiously made my way into this hall, which was full of trudge and giants. And these things were scary. I killed one giant. The other one threw poo at me. I didn't like it. And I didn't even try to fight it. I'm like, I will not fight you in your own territory. You are surrounded by these little goops that are trying to jump on me. You're throwing poo very viciously at me, and I can barely walk. We're gonna roll through this part, thank you. And then I made it past that, only to encounter all these knights hanging out for some kind of Knights Anonymous group. And I ran in there and I thought I could get the jump on them, but no. I got destroyed. These knights had big weapons and they just like pummeled me to the ground, and I instantly regretted my ways. You never try to be the one that ganks in Dark Souls, for you are the one who must only be ganked. Just you and no one else. So getting behind there, actually before we do that, there is a new weapon that I have built that I've been experimenting with called the Hollow Slayer Greatsword, and I don't quite remember how I got it. I think it came from doing a boss thing. So far I've been using my double swords, or my dual blades, and then I got this Hollow Slayer Greatsword, which is like a two-handed sword, which what I really like about it is you can run and then you can do like a sweeping arc, which has been really cool to do. And it became really useful in the next boss fight, which is the Deacons of the Deep, which I thought these were this was one of the Lord of Cinders. Turns out it was not. And I was just like, what is this boss? It's just like a bunch of priests. And I just start like running in there and like slashing across, and it does a lot of damage. I was like, oh, what's going on? Am I just supposed to like call this group? And then I realized that there was like this little red thing that was bobbing around. I'm like, that's probably the thing I have to hit. And it kept like bobbing in the middle of the group. So I'm like, all right, we gotta get rid of the meat shields. Get rid of the meat shields. I'm just going in there hacking away. And that was a fun fight. Like I was enjoying that. And then like the Pope showed up, and he started chanting stuff, and he had a big stick, and then like some bigger dudes showed up, and things were I'm like, oh, something bad's gonna happen. And out of nowhere, our old friend the Curse showed up, and I just saw my HP go like chunk chunk dead. I'm just like, are you serious? Curse is back. And I was about to like rack up the bullshit counter, but then there was a ray of light, and I respawned at the bonfire, which wasn't that far, and I had my full health. I was like, are you serious? Like the berserker, not the berserk, but the curse does not keep your HP halved when you respawn. It just goes away. I don't need no special moss. Oh, this is amazing. And so I ran back to the Deacons, played a little bit more aggressively to seek out the red light, and I just destroyed it. So it took me 2 runs, got the Deacons of the Deep, knocked out one more boss from my pledge, and off we went to, I think we went through the the forest, and then the swamp. I really like the swamp mechanic, which was like we had to find 4 bonfires to light to open the door. It was like a little bit of a puzzle thing, and there was like a very kind of vague way that you were supposed to get through the swamp, which I liked. And I ended up going on a high wall, which felt like a callback to Dark Souls 1. And there was a big dude with a mace who I thought was a boss, but he didn't have a health bar, so I'm not calling him a boss. He was pretty fun to fight. Killed him. Unfortunately, it doesn't count towards the pledge. And then made it my way back. I believe it was into Farron Keep. And I met my first Lord of Cinder, which is the Abyss Watchers. And this thing reminded me a lot of the boss from Dark Souls 1 in the DLC, which I am forgetting his name. I think it was Artorias. There it is, Artorias. Like, it's that humanoid character, and I feel like you are more rewarded for rolling in Dark Souls 3, or maybe it's just because the combat is smoother. So like when he had his big moves, when he was charging at me, I'm like, okay, we roll into this, and then we hack at him. And then I got ganked by his buddies, which made things hard. This whole time I'm playing with the Hollow Slayer Greatsword, and I was banging my head against this wall for like a good hour. It was actually quite difficult to kill the Abyss Watcher. And actually on my second attempt at him, he was 1 hit away from dying, which made the whole ordeal even worse, because I was like, oh, I got a little bit of luck or something with patience. I got like the adrenaline rush, and I got greedy. I was like, oh, let's just try to finish him quick. And I got punched. I got killed. And I never came close to that again until like an hour and a half later of grinding against him, where I finally succeeded. And I succeeded thanks to switching back to my dual blades. So after like an hour of trying to kill him with the greatsword, like it was just getting frustrating, and I kept getting like that hit where they send me up in the air, or then they're just like ganging up on me, or the flame, which has his like endless combo of 5-6 hit combos. So, oh man, that was so frustrating. So I'm like, whatever, like I need more speed. I need to do something. So I brought out my dual blades, went in there. I know it's not called dual blades, but like, come on, we're Monster Hunter people here. I think it's a faster move that lets me interrupt him, because I realized before he could even start his combo business, I'd just be like, no, chop, chop. And yeah, after about 2 attempts, I made it through that boss thanks to my 2 swords. So after that, we got to go into the catacombs. That was pretty comfortable, just to kind of explore, kill things. Made my way into the next boss, which was the High Lord Walner. which it was kind of like a classic Nintendo boss, which I'm like, okay, we got two hands, they're shining. I'm guessing I have to hit the two hands, and then like an eyeball's gonna open up in the face. Turns out that I had to do was just keep hacking away at the bracelets that were glowy, the big glowy spot. I somehow did not put two and two together, and I just kept hacking away at the hands. Either way, he fell, and our boss counter went down to, I think we're at 12 now. And then I saw this beautiful view of the Irithyll of the Boreal Valley, which is probably the most beautiful scene I've seen in Dark Souls ever. Like, this thing looked really good, really beautiful. But before we went that way, I was told there was another optional boss back at the rope bridge. You know, you cut it, you go down. And there was. We came across the old Demon King, which is like this big fire guy with a big stomper. I was struggling with him. Made it to about half of his health after quite a few attempts, several attempts, and I could not, like, he goes into like a phase 2 at that point, and I'm just like, oh man, I don't want to be stuck here. I was in the mood to explore, and so I was starting to understand the pattern, especially for phase 1. I could comfortably get him down to like where he powers up, and then he has like a huge AoE. I was like, you know what, this boss, I could probably do it and spend more time, but I could do it even faster if I have more vitality, because there's just a few things I was just not so good at dodging. But otherwise, yeah, we'll come back to this boss. So I saw him, I'm like, I'm going to come back for you. And back to the Boreal Valley we went, where I got destroyed by these knights. I think I was still using the two swords. And these, like, the knights of that city are serious business. Man, they were just punishing me. So I switched back to a greatsword again, but this time I forged the Farron greatsword, which is, chat tells me it's like the dexterity weapon to use in this game. And I really love how like it jumps and you're like sliding on the ground, you're like whoosh, 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 and you're just like Beyblading everywhere. So that has been saving me so much because it interrupts and gets me around people. It has been both saving me and a curse, because when I panic and I don't know what to do, I'm just like, Beyblade time! And then I just like, and sometimes I win and sometimes I die. It's a little bit of a roll of the dice. So it's not making me as cautious of like methodically fighting things. But it's all right. Like, I'm bouncing between weapons depending on the scenario, which is something I didn't do in Dark Souls 1. So from here, I mostly explored. I made my way to a prison, which I was told is not where I should be. But I was like, oh, whatever, chat. I want to see the prison. I'm exploring. I'm playing this how I want. And I met these terrible brand girls who, like, they stare at you and your health just disappears, and then they brand you, and I got like branded to death. I'm just like, oh, I don't like this. And I kept exploring the prison, and I found a mimic, and I was still in the mindset that I could kill mimics in like 2 hits like in Dark Souls 1. And so I Beybladed onto this mimic, and he had the weirdest hitbox where he like grabbed me across the room and munched on me, and I'm just like, bullshit to the 100. I'm done. And that's where I ended. So I don't know if I'm going to go back into the prison, which is just depression in there, or if I'm going to go back to the valley and keep descending to wherever I was going. Like, there's a lot of areas I can kind of go at this point. And I like having options. There are 12 bosses left to hunt down, one of which I know who it is. So technically there's 11 bosses left for me to discover. It looks like this game's going to be harder than I anticipated when I made my pledge. But hey, that's kind of the point of pledges. It's all about putting a challenge out there that we don't quite know what it's going to be like. So yeah, hopefully I can get through those last 12 bosses and not paint myself in a corner of pain. So I'll see you on the next journal as I descend further into madness and depression in this game. So until next time, classy crew, keep it classy.